here with Bernardo Osuna for tomorrow's fight against Keyshawn Davis versus Dennis Berenchyk. But first, before we go there, I want to ask you about Rohan Polanco, who's moving up to 147. Going to be fighting Giancarlo Torres. You know, this is his first fight at 47. It's for a regional belt. What are your thoughts on Rohan Polanco, and what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, really, I'm enjoying watching the progression and growth of Rohan Polanco. You know, he was very highly touted out of the amateurs, and just speaking with him at 140, you know, we got to do some of his early fights, and he always believed that he was ahead of the game in terms of the other 140 pounders. Now he moves into a different weight class, and you know, the punches are harder, the punch resistance is greater from the opponent, so it's really going to be a good test for Rohan Polanco against Giancarlo Torres, and I'm looking forward to see what the next step is in his career, because he was getting into that top contender status at 140, but I don't know if, you know, moving to 47 brings him back down a couple steps, so he's going to have to look impressive.
What do you think of his trajectory, like, as far as where he can go? We've seen him get better and better. We've seen him against tough opponents and you know, pass with flying colors. What do you think his ceiling is, more like?
His ceiling is world champion, unified champion. I mean, he really has that type of talent because, look, we all know that the Dominican fighters of late, with the influence of the Cuban school, have really added a different dimension to their game. It's the toughness, it's what Rohan has grown up with and what he comes from, but then you add that skill level to it, and that's really what makes Rohan Polanco special. You have the skill of the Cuban school, but you also have him sitting down on his punches and throwing leverage with high leverage and power, and that's what, to me, makes Rohan Polanco very special.
Does he remind you of anybody?
I don't know that he reminds me of anybody, but just a blend of really good fighters. I mean, he's got that, you know, amateur school and, you know, that pedigree. And just the fact that he always looked at himself like they talk about a lot of Mexican fighters when they're in the amateurs and they say, well, he's got a pro style. And I think Rohan always had a pro style. So he didn't have that international success on the amateur stage because of his pro style, going to the body, you know, digging those power shots where other guys are trying to just tap for points. Rohan was trying to get you out even as an amateur.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the main event. So we got Dennis Berenchyk versus Keyshawn Davis. We've seen the little scuffle, you know, happen. What's your thought on this fight? I think this is a really close fight.
Look, I think if Keyshawn Davis can pull it off, it's a legitimate world championship win, because when you see what Berenchyk was able to do against Emmanuel Navarrete, he outlanded a punching machine, and he was even more awkward than Navarrete. So he's got that the Ukrainian dimension of using his legs to create space to make his opponent fight his fight. So I think it's going to be a tough challenge for Keyshawn Davis to come in and impose his will. And I think that's what's going to make this such a great fight. Tactical early, and once Keyshawn can make the adjustments, we'll see what counter adjustments Berenchyk forces Keyshawn to make. So it's going to be a chess match, but a highly entertaining tactical chess match.
All right, lastly, I'll leave off with, there was an announcement that Top Rank would no longer be working with ESPN, and as a fan of you, I'm concerned I won't see you doing boxing, man. Can you please calm me down? At least tell me that we can still see you in boxing, and I don't know whether it's ESPN or somewhere else. Are you still going to be in the boxing world?
I will still be in the boxing world. Look, man, we'll see what happens. And I'm a optimist, so I think things will all work out in due time. And you know, these 7 years with Top Rank have been amazing. It's been an amazing time of growth for me, and so I'm nothing but grateful for that opportunity. And you know, good things will come for the sport of boxing. I mean, el deporte este es como una cucaracha, impossible to kill off, and I'm one of those too. So you know, you don't last 30 years in the business without having the ability to pivot.
Well, can you give me a little sneak peek? ESPN staying in boxing with somebody else?
I hope so. We'll see. I really have no insight into what's happening next. I'm living day by day like everyone else, and we're good through July, and we'll see what happens.
All right, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.